From a son who brazenly admits his success comes from nepotism to a daughter raising a mysteriously undiagnosed special needs child alone. Sting's 6 children have carved paths, both heartbreaking and controversial. One became a police officer despite growing up in rock royalty. Another publicly rejected gender labels, and their father shocked the world by declaring he won't leave them his fortune. Here's what really happened to Sting's children. Joe Sumner. When Sting's eldest son, Joe Sumner, was born in November of 1976, his father hadn't yet formed the Police, and no one could have predicted that this baby would grow up to face one of the most challenging dynamics in rock music, being the son of a legend while trying to forge his own musical identity. Born a full year before the Police came together, Joe watched from the sidelines as his father became one of the biggest stars in the world, creating a shadow that would follow him throughout his entire career. Like many children of famous musicians, Joe was drawn to music himself. But his inspiration came from an unexpected source. While growing up surrounded by his father's sophisticated pop-rock sound, Joe found himself captivated by Nirvana's album Nevermind during his teenage years, and it was Kurt Cobain's raw, unpolished energy that inspired him to pick up a guitar and start writing his own songs. This musical rebellion against his father's style would become a defining characteristic of Joe's artistic journey. In 1999, Joe formed a band called Fiction Plane with a school friend, and by 2003, they had released their debut album, Everything Will Never Be Okay. For several years, the band worked the traditional route, playing small venues and building a following the hard way. But everything changed in 2007 when the Police announced their reunion tour. And Joe's band was offered the opening slot for what would become one of the biggest concert tours of the decade. This opportunity should have been the break of a lifetime, but Joe's reaction revealed the complex emotions that come with being a rock star's child. In interviews, he was remarkably candid about how the opportunity came about, admitting with brutal honesty that it was pure nepotism. "We earned it, man. We worked from the street," he joked to reporters before immediately contradicting himself. "No, my dad called me up and gave me the gig." Even more revealing was his internal struggle with accepting the offer. Joe confessed that he almost turned down the chance to open for one of the most successful reunion tours in rock history because, as he put it, "I feel like it's a big sellout in a lot of ways." This wasn't false modesty. It was genuine anguish from someone who understood that his band's biggest break had nothing to do with their musical abilities and everything to do with his last name. The tour itself became both a blessing and a curse for Joe. While it gave Fiction Plane massive exposure and helped establish them as a legitimate rock band, it also reinforced the very thing Joe was trying to escape: HTJ, being known primarily as Sting's son rather than as an artist in his own right. Concert audiences would come to see the Police and endure Fiction Plane, many with their arms crossed, waiting for the main event. Years later, Joe's struggles with identity have continued to surface in interviews. He has described feeling not quite comfortable with who he is, despite decades of touring and recording. This isn't about stage fright or typical performer anxiety, it's about the fundamental challenge of establishing an individual identity when you're constantly compared to one of music's most recognizable voices and faces. The weight of living in what he has called his father's hell of a musical shadow has shaped not just Joe's career choices, but his entire approach to the music industry. He has since founded multiple startups, including failed app ventures, suggesting someone still searching for a way to step out of that shadow and create something entirely his own, separate from the world of rock music that made his family name famous. Fuchsia Kate Sumner. Fuchsia Kate Sumner, Sting's second child from his first marriage to actress Frances Tomelty, has lived a remarkably private life compared to her famous siblings, But recent years have brought significant personal milestones that showcase her journey from actress to director to new mother. Born in April of 1982 in London, Fuschia grew up during the height of her father's fame with the Police, but chose to carve out her own path in the entertainment industry, following more closely in her mother's footsteps as an actress rather than pursuing music like her father. After graduating from the University of the West of England with degrees in English literature and drama, Fuschia began building her acting career in the mid-2000s with smaller television roles, including appearances on shows like ER and an uncredited part in the fantasy film Stardust in 2007. Unlike some of her siblings who embraced the spotlight, Fuschia maintained a relatively low profile throughout her 20s and 30s, focusing on steady work rather than seeking major starring roles or media attention. Her acting career gained more recognition with her role in Disney's Saving Mr. Banks in 2013, where she worked alongside Emma Thompson and Tom Hanks in the story about Walt Disney's efforts to adapt Mary Poppins for the screen. This role demonstrated her ability to hold her own in major Hollywood productions, but Fuschia seemed more interested in the craft of filmmaking than in becoming a household name. The transition from acting to directing marked a significant turning point in Fuschia's career. In 2021, she made her directorial debut with a segment of Everything I Ever Wanted to Tell My Daughter About Men, an ambitious anthology film consisting of 23 short films created by 21 female directors. Her contribution to this project featured accomplished actors Jason Isaacs and Alan Cumming, showing that she had developed the professional relationships and creative vision necessary to attract serious talent to her directorial work. The anthology film's focus on relationships and gender dynamics suggested that Fuschia was interested in exploring meaningful social themes through her directing, rather than simply transitioning into filmmaking for career advancement. The project represented a collaborative effort among female filmmakers to examine complex emotional territories, and Fuschia's participation indicated her commitment to contributing to important conversations about human relationships. On the personal front, Fuschia's life took on new dimensions when she became a first-time mother in July of 2024, at the age of 42, giving birth to her son Roman. This late-in-life motherhood represented a significant personal milestone that came after years of focusing primarily on her professional development and creative pursuits. Just 1 year after becoming a mother, Fuschia married her longtime partner Max Wright in a ceremony held in Sicily in July of 2025. The wedding became a family celebration, with Sting not only walking his daughter down the aisle but also giving an emotional speech that welcomed Max into the family. The presence of her stepmother, Trudy Styler, at the ceremony demonstrated the strong family bonds that have developed over the decades since Sting's divorce from Fuschia's mother, showing how the blended family has found ways to support each other through major life events, despite the complicated history of how the family was formed. Mickey Sumner. Mickey Sumner, Sting's eldest daughter with actress and producer Trudy Styler, has faced one of the most challenging and heartbreaking journeys of any of her father's children, transforming from a successful actress known for her roles in critically acclaimed films like Frances Ha and the television series Snowpiercer, into a single mother advocating for a child with complex special needs. Born Brigitte Michael Sumner in January of 1984, Mickey built a respectable acting career in her 20s and 30s, working with acclaimed directors like Greta Gerwig and landing significant roles that established her as a talented performer in her own right. The trajectory of Mickey's life changed dramatically on New Year's Eve of 2016, when she gave birth to her son Akira at Sting's Malibu estate, choosing a home birth that quickly turned into a medical emergency. From the moment of delivery, it was clear something was seriously wrong. The baby was born, still and blue, showing none of the typical signs of a healthy newborn. He didn't cry, didn't latch onto his mother for feeding, and appeared unusually floppy and unresponsive, causing immediate concern among everyone present. Despite initial reassurances from medical professionals that Akira just needed time because he had arrived 2 weeks early, Mickey's maternal instincts told her something was deeply wrong. When the baby still hadn't latched after 3 days and had begun turning yellow, she and her then-husband Chris Kantrowitz rushed him to the hospital, where doctors discovered he was hypothermic and immediately admitted him to the neonatal intensive care unit. What followed was 3 weeks of medical uncertainty and emotional torture for Mickey and her family. Akira was hooked up to monitors, feeding tubes, and various medical equipment while doctors struggled to understand what was causing his condition. During this period, the family received a series of terrifying and ultimately incorrect diagnoses. Medical professionals told them Akira might have the Zika virus, microcephaly, damage to his optic nerve, or, most devastatingly, a degenerative brain disease that could limit his life expectancy to just 5 years. The experience of watching her newborn son fight for his life while receiving conflicting and frightening medical opinions pushed Mickey to what she described as the edge of madness. In a deeply personal essay she wrote for Romper magazine, she revealed that she felt herself approaching a mental breakdown, describing how she could see herself losing her grip on reality while sitting beside her son's incubator. The turning point came when she heard an internal voice telling her, "You're a mother now. You can't go anywhere. You have to stay." When Akira finally left the hospital, doctors had determined he had a rare genetic condition involving an unbalanced chromosome translocation, but they still couldn't provide a definitive diagnosis or clear prognosis. Years later, at 4 years old, Akira remains nonverbal and unable to walk, is hard of hearing in both ears, and has what medical professionals describe as global developmental delays and low muscle tone. The strain of caring for a child with such complex needs took a severe toll on Mickey's marriage to entrepreneur Chris Kantrowitz, whom she had married in 2017. The couple divorced in 2022, with court documents revealing that Mickey receives $7,000 per month in child support, while also being ordered to pay Kantrowitz $400,000 following the sale of one of their marital properties. Jake Sumner. Jake Sumner, Sting's second child with Trudy Styler, has achieved something remarkable in the entertainment industry, establishing himself as a successful filmmaker entirely separate from his father's musical legacy, while creating a unique niche at the intersection of music, culture, and visual storytelling. Born on May 24, 1985, in Paris, Jake entered the world in perhaps the most cinematically documented way possible, as his birth was actually captured and featured in Michael Apted's 1985 documentary Bring On the Night, which chronicled Sting's transition from the Police frontman to solo artist. This unusual beginning seemed to foreshadow Jake's future in visual media, making him quite possibly the only person whose actual birth was documented as part of a major rock documentary. The film captured not just the medical moment of his arrival, but the broader context of his father navigating a major career transition, creating a unique historical record of both personal and professional transformation that would later influence Jake's own approach to documentary storytelling. Growing up in this environment of constant creative documentation and artistic exploration, Jake developed an eye for capturing authentic moments and telling stories that reveal deeper cultural truths. As an adult, he channeled this perspective into becoming an award-winning documentary director, focusing particularly on subjects that explore the intersection of music, culture, and social change. His breakthrough came with Fantastic Man, Who is William Onyeabor? In 2014, a film produced in partnership with Vice that investigated the mysterious Nigerian musician who created groundbreaking electronic music in the 70s and 80s before disappearing from public view. Jake followed this success with I was there when House took over the world for Channel 4-inch 2017, demonstrating his ability to document music history and cultural movements with both artistic sensitivity and journalistic rigor. His work earned him a jury prize at DOC NYC in 2019 for his short documentary, Bob of the Park, showing that his filmmaking skills extended beyond music documentaries into broader human interest stories. What sets Jake apart from many celebrity offspring in the entertainment industry is his ability to work across multiple creative disciplines without relying on his family connections. As creative director of the production company All Day Every Day, he has directed high-profile commercial campaigns for some of the world's most prestigious brands, including Nike, Google, Tiffany & Company, MasterCard, and Moncler. His commercial work maintains the same documentary-style authenticity that characterizes his independent films, resulting in advertising that feels more like short documentaries than traditional marketing content. Perhaps most significantly, Jake has collaborated with Pharrell Williams on environmental initiatives, particularly the Ocean Conservation Project, Parley for the Oceans, creating The Plastic Age in 2015. This collaboration demonstrates Jake's commitment to using his filmmaking skills for social and environmental causes, showing that his work extends beyond entertainment into meaningful advocacy. His frequent collaborations with contemporary artist KAWS on film and video projects, along with music videos for artists like Bruno Mars and Damian Marley, showcase his versatility across different creative mediums. Currently, Jake is developing a feature documentary called The Last Promoter, the Ron Delsener story, about the legendary New York City concert promoter, which represents his ongoing evolution as a filmmaker capable of handling larger, more complex biographical subjects, while maintaining his signature style of intimate cultural documentation. Elliot Sumner. Elliot Sumner, born Elliot Paulina Sumner on July 30th, 1990, represents perhaps the most artistically adventurous and personally transformative journey among Sting's children. Having publicly embraced a non-binary gender identity while simultaneously reinventing their creative persona multiple times across music, performance, and acting. Born in Pisa, Italy, and raised on the family estate near Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, Elliot received their first guitar as a birthday gift when they were just 4 or 5 years old, beginning a musical journey that would eventually lead them far from their father's signature sound. Unlike their siblings who either followed traditional career paths or worked within established entertainment frameworks, Elliot has consistently challenged conventional boundaries both personally and professionally. They wrote their first song at age 13 and formed their first band by 14, showing an early drive toward musical expression that would become increasingly experimental over time. After attending boarding school and later studying at Hampstead College of Fine Arts, Elliot signed a multi-album deal with Island Records at just 17 years old, launching their professional music career under the band name I Blame Coco. The band's debut album, The Constant, was released in 2010, featuring a blend of pop, electronic, ska, and punk influences that established Elliot as a distinctive voice separate from their father's more mainstream sound. However, this early success was followed by a period of artistic soul-searching that would define much of Elliot's subsequent career choices. They later described feeling disconnected from this early work, saying, "I didn't believe in what I was doing. It wasn't me," which led to a significant hiatus from touring and a move to the Lake District for personal reflection. In December of 2015, Elliot made headlines when they spoke openly about gender identity in an interview with The Evening Standard. When asked whether they identified with a particular gender, Elliot responded simply, "No," explaining, "I don't believe in any specifications, and I don't identify with either gender." However, they were careful to clarify that this wasn't a formal coming-out moment, stating, "I've never come out to anyone. My friends always knew, and I always knew." Expressing the belief that people shouldn't feel pressured to accept labels or tags of any kind. Following this period of personal clarification, Elliot began yet another artistic reinvention, this time moving into electronic music and DJing under the alias Val. This transformation took them into European dance clubs, where they developed a completely different musical identity, focused on house music and electronic beats, demonstrating their ability to master entirely new creative disciplines while building fresh audiences who may not have known about their famous parentage. More recently, Elliot has expanded into acting, appearing in high-profile film and television projects that showcase their range as a performer. They had a role in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman in 2020, followed by an appearance in the James Bond film No Time to Die in 2021. Most notably, they played Freddie Miles in Netflix's black and white adaptation of Ripley in 2024, a role that allowed them to work alongside acclaimed actors like Andrew Scott and Dakota Fanning, while contributing to a prestige television production that earned significant critical attention. Giacomo Sumner. Giacomo Luke Sumner, the youngest of Sting's 6 children, has made perhaps the most surprising career choice of any celebrity offspring in recent memory by joining the London Metropolitan Police at age 28, deliberately choosing public service and a modest starting salary over the wealth and glamour that his family name could have easily provided. Born on December 17, 1995, Giacomo grew up during the height of his father's solo career success. Surrounded by the trappings of rock stardom and international fame, yet from an early age, he was drawn to a completely different kind of public service. Unlike his siblings who gravitated toward various forms of entertainment and creative expression, Giacomo developed an interest in law enforcement that began during his teenage years and never wavered despite the unconventional nature of this career path for someone from his background. He has publicly stated on social media that "Becoming a police officer has been my dream since I was 13, suggesting that even as a young teenager living in the world of rock royalty, he was already envisioning himself in uniform rather than on stage. This dream led Giacomo to pursue his education with a clear career goal in mind, ultimately traveling to California to attend California Lutheran University, where he studied criminal justice. His mother, Trudy Styler, proudly posted on social media when he graduated with his bachelor's degree in 2020, marking the completion of the academic foundation he would need for his chosen profession. The fact that he pursued this degree in the United States, far from his family's British entertainment industry connections, suggests a deliberate choice to build his credentials independently. The path from graduation to actually joining the Metropolitan Police involved several more years of preparation and application processes, during which Giacomo could have easily changed his mind and pursued more lucrative opportunities connected to his family's fame and fortune. Instead, he remained committed to his original goal, eventually being accepted into the Metropolitan Police and attending their training academy in North London. In May of 2024, Giacomo officially joined the Metropolitan Police in a ceremony that was attended by both his parents, Sting and Trudy Styler, who showed their support for their son's unconventional career choice, despite it being so different from their own professional worlds. The ceremony marked the culmination of more than 15 years of consistent interest in law enforcement. From his early teenage dreams through his university studies and police training, the financial aspect of Giacomo's career choice is particularly striking when considered against his family's wealth and his other options. As a new police constable, he began with a starting salary of approximately £36,000 per year, a modest income that represents a fraction of what he might have earned through entertainment industry connections or simply by leveraging his famous surname for commercial opportunities. This deliberate choice of public service over personal wealth reflects values that seem to have developed independently of his family's entertainment industry success, suggesting that despite growing up with extraordinary privilege, Giacomo was influenced more by concepts of civic duty and community service than by the glamorous lifestyle that surrounded him throughout his childhood and young adulthood.